wasn't, yeah.
We could pretty much, yeah, you can let them in. It's 9 o'clock, so just hit admit all. We'll let everybody in. We're live streaming it onto YouTube, so hopefully we get some people joining us on YouTube. Hello, hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. How are you?
I got my party people here.
Tom, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I see Sabrina's here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Happy to see you guys. we had some technical issues with our link, so we might not have too many people joining us this morning, but we're also live streaming on YouTube as well. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, that's usually
Do
my
you always
excuse.
live stream on YouTube?
No, this is the first time we're actually live streaming it on YouTube, but I mean, I've done a lot of that in the past, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, which is fun.
You know, Tom, it's usually my excuse to technical problems.
Yeah, I know.
Right, Sabrina, yesterday?
Sometimes it happens, but it's all good. I got a fun little slide deck I'm going to go through with you guys, so have some fun. We'll just see if anybody else joins in here. Yeah, we got a couple other people that should be coming in. We'll see what else comes in on the live stream. But all good
Sabrina,
stuff.
I'll call you later on the afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Great. Great. All right, yeah, we're live. I can see it on my phone. Wow, it looks pretty good. Good job, Mike. We're looking legit. I'm looking like Tony Robbins on here. That's the plan.
I don't know what happened.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hola, guapos.
Oh, okay.
In Gracia, Barcelona. Today we're
Just making sure. All right, cool. Well, we'll get started in just a minute here. We're just doing some final tweaks.
Brunch music.
Ah, looks good. I could be a live stream viewer. Why not? Myself. The verification vault is what we're talking about. This thing's gonna yell at me. All right, it looks like we got someone in the waiting room, Mike. All right, cool. So it's not very long. It's only probably about 12 or 13 slides that we're gonna go through today. So I will kind of jump into things here in just a minute, and I think we could pretty much get started. We'll see what else is going on. Like I said, we're live on YouTube, so we have some viewers there. We don't even have it pulled up, so I guess we'll find out after the fact if people are watching or not on YouTube. All right, cool. But I'm just gonna get started. I will have some questions at the end if anybody has any questions for me, and if you have any. If you want to set up a meeting or go over anything, happy to do so as well. But I'm gonna jump right into things. I prepared a nice slide for everybody. It's about 10, 12 slides, something like that. Shouldn't be too long. We'll go through it. And what I'm excited about today is really just driving the point home about kind of the process of like people finding you online or referrals being given or things of that nature. So we're gonna dive a little bit deeper today. If you were with me on the last one, then you kind of saw a little bit about this. We spoke a little bit about this, but today we're going to dive a bit deeper. So I got Mike on the back end behind the camera here. He's pressing buttons for me and jumping slides and all that stuff. So
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
yeah.
Good, how are you?
There you go.
You can hear me.
Yeah, you probably can. Yeah, all good. He's behind the scenes here helping me out. And we got a nice setup here. We got 2 cameras with us today, so really cool. And this is something that we can do for anybody, which is fun. So we'll get right into it. So welcome back, everybody. My name is Tom LoFaso. This is month number 3 of our 6-month dominance series. So last month we talked about buying ads or buying premium real estate on things like Hulu or streaming services or even Google ads and Facebook ads. So we spoke a lot about the advertising in the digital world and what that looks like. But today we're going to be talking about what I like to call is the elephant in the room, right? So you spent all this time, you spent all this money, there's all of these things that you've done in order to get people to start calling you, but maybe it's not actually converting, right? And a lot of times we see that with certain, clients that we work with or people that come our way where it's like, hey, hang on a second, you are doing a lot of these things, but what's causing, this level of not converting to happen, So we're talking about the verification vault. So the verification vault, why your website is killing your referrals, and basically stop pouring, ad spend into a leaky bucket, right? So why your current website might be killing your referrals is really what we're gonna talk about, and really go into social media as well. So website, social media, or overall your online presence. So let's go over to slide 2 if we can, Mike. And on this, we're going to talk about the 97% lookup rate. So it's the harsh reality, which is crazy. And I believe I spoke about this probably not even in the last one, but in both of the last two, because this is just something I like to drive home. But 97% of people, they will look you up on the internet, right? They're going to do some sort of research on you. So 97% of consumers will look you up online before they ever even pick up the phone to call you. Let's just think about our own habits, right? You see an ad, you hear a name from a friend. What's the first thing you do? You probably Google them, or maybe you go on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, but you probably look them up on some level, right? I would say a high percentage of people are going to go directly to Google to look you up, but depends, you know? And we would call that, you know, maybe a non-traditional platform if you were to go right to like LinkedIn to look somebody up, or Instagram or something like that. But this is what we call the verification phase. Verification phase is super important. You know, again, there's a little bit more we're going to dive into here, but 97% of people, consumers right now, are going to look you up. And we looked at this a little bit more in the past, but depending on your age range, it's kind of like a sliding scale in a sense, right? So if you're in the older market, you know, let's say 70 and older, maybe you're not going to Google search them as often. I think it's closer to like 50 or 60%. If you're like 50 to 70 years old, it's closer to like 60 and 70%. But if you're under that 50-year-old, you're in like the 90%, you know, mark, or basically. And if you're like, you know, like me, millennial or Gen Z, you pretty much look everything up. You don't really do anything without, you know, doing some sort of online research. All right, so let's just jump to the next slide though, which is basically a referral is just a spark, right? So your website and social is what closes the deal. This is exactly what we're going to dive, you know, real deep into today, which is referrals are super important. However, what happens after the fact? And I talk about this with everybody I come in contact with. If we're talking about social media, if we're going to be talking about how I can help them out, we're always going to talk about this. What's the process? What happens when somebody gets that referral, when somebody needs your product or service and finds you through any means? If it's going to be, if they find you online, if a friend tells you about them, they find a newspaper ad, a billboard, you know, whatever it is, right? So, but let's jump into the leaky bucket, which is slide 4. Right now, so many of us are pouring our ad spend into a leaky bucket, right? And really, what does that mean, right? You pay to get prospects' attention. They see your premium ad on TV, or maybe they find you on, you know, a Google ad or a Facebook ad or something like that. So they associate you with high end or prestige, right? They're like, oh wow, look at this company. They have, you know, a TV ad on Hulu or Paramount or something like that. Or look, they have Google, you know, they're sponsored on Google. They're right at the top. So they must have something going for them if they can afford advertisements, right? Another version of this is maybe they met somebody and they said, hey, check this out. You know, I need product or service. Here is somebody that can help you out. Check them out. I'm at a bar with my friend. I'm, you know, walking in the park with a friend of mine. I'm working and a colleague of mine tells me, hey, I had the same problem. This is who I used. Or maybe they just went ahead and looked you up online, right? There was some sort of research that was had. They went on to Google or Facebook or Instagram, or they're watching YouTube videos and they got frustrated with, you know, trying to do it themselves, which is, you know, happens a lot of times. So, and we call this, again, not traditional search if they're looking you up on some sort of other platform. But let's say they hear about you or they find you and then they really start to look you up, right? So they hear about your brand name, they hear about maybe the owner of the company. They're really going to start digging into this, right? And again, depending on who you are, depending on the service, depending on how big of a purchase it is, that kind of dictates how much someone is going to be looking you up. But let's just say, you know, it's some sort of home service or something along those lines. Somebody is going to spend some time, if they're spending a few $1,000s on your service, right? Maybe they're going to look up the owner on LinkedIn and see, you know, what kind of background do they have? Have they ever bought anything? Have they ever went to college in any specific, you know, great school or have any certifications or anything along those lines, right? Are they going to look at your company website and see that it looks like it was built in 2012 and it's slow and it doesn't really work? It doesn't maybe even work right on their phone. So depending on what they see, their prestige for you might die or it might instantaneously grow, right? And that's really, really important. I think having the prestige die is something that really can kill you, because what happens right then and there a lot of times is people pretty much just go right to your competitor, right? So the prestige dies, or maybe they actually go to your social media, and the social media kind of gives that same thing, right? If they're on your website and it looks old, or they go to your social media and you haven't posted anything in months or years, or maybe you just have really like grainy and bad looking content, and it's like, what is going on here, right? So it's your digital storefront. If it doesn't match the quality of your actual business, that's a problem, right? And then, like I said before, worse than all of this is you basically are paying for some sort of ad to happen, right? Because this is what we were talking about here. You're paying for the ad, you're going to networking events, you're doing something that requires time or money, which is, both extremely valuable. And then the lead comes through, they check you out on the internet, and then they basically go right off to your competitor because now they're not impressed by you anymore. So this is something we see a lot of times, and it's sad to see because, you might be working so hard in one area and not really focusing on the back end. So, this is something that we help people out with. But again, there's a million, companies out there that can do some sort of branding for you or marketing to really make sure that you look like these major companies. So when someone does, this referral to look up, they know, oh, wow, okay, check this out. So let's jump to slide 5, which is phase 1 of the referral to lookup. So how do we fix this? We break it down basically into 2 phases. So understanding the modern consumer journey from TV to your website. We can jump to the next one here. All right, phase 1, understanding the referral lookup journey. So owning the verification. We know the smartest brands are buying ads. We know this, right? The smartest brands are buying ads on Hulu, on Amazon, Paramount. They're doing Google ads, Facebook ads. If you see some of the major companies out there, they're everywhere, right? I think I might have spoken about this in the past, but remember, this is a local thing to us. And if you're from New York or Long Island, the Sands, they were going to go to the Coliseum. There was all this like excitement. They're a huge company, right? So they were putting advertising dollars everywhere. It was like advertisements in digital, all over. If it wasn't like a video ad or some sort of, like static ad that was coming up. And then every event you would see their logo. If it was like a chamber of commerce or a street fair or whatever it was, right? So this is what the smartest brands do. They know. They're like, okay, cool. We can create some sort of like spark in the community if we really start to get the word out there. And obviously this costs a ton of money to do something like this, but there's other ways to do this. When if you are a small business, you don't need to spend, $100,000-$200,000 a month just to make that spark happen. So we want you to basically own the verification phase, and that's super, super, super important. There can't be a drop off in quality between the TV ad and the website or the social media. The transition needs to be seamless, right? So they come across, like I was saying before, a referral from a friend, or they're just looking for your product or service, or again, you're a roofer, or you do kitchens or bathrooms, whatever, and the person's trying to look up the do-it-yourself method, and now they're frustrated, right? So they finally come across you. They either come across some sort of video that you've put out there, they come across your product or service because you have great reviews, they come across you because somebody told about you, right? There's so many different areas here. But once they come across you and they look you up on some level, we need that transition to be perfectly seamless. From when they hear about you to the first impression that they have to the last impression to when you're literally finishing the job, everything needs to be seamless. It needs to make sure that you look better than than your competitor. And you don't need to be the biggest guy around to do these types of things, right? You just need to make sure that you look good on the internet, and then you have the infrastructure to back it up. So really, really cool. Let's jump into the next slide, which is pretty brochures fail, right? And this is a crucial point. Something we see often as well, which is people build these really pretty websites, and even something that's like 5 years old, right? It might not work as well in today's world. So what we're talking about is like, yes, the website is great, but you can't just stop there, right? There's all these other platforms that you can bring into play. So you don't need a brochure. You just need a salesperson, and realistically, you need video. A high authority platform, a platform that guides prospects, is basically something like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. There's some other platforms that we could throw in there, which would be like putting ads on Hulu or Paramount. But these are high authority platforms, right? Everybody knows who these platforms are. Everyone's heard of Facebook, and if you haven't, then you probably are like 20 years in the past or something. Everybody knows about these things. So by putting yourself out there on these platforms, you are part of that high authority because, you know, they help push you out there. It's free also to put yourself on these platforms. So we can use different types of funnels to basically create content, run ads, direct them right to the website, and then really start to pull people into, you know, from top of funnel to where we're just casting a wide net down to a really specific funnel to where, hey, this is exactly who I'm looking for. This is the target market I'm searching for, you know, and sometimes it's really specific and sometimes it's just about anybody. You know, I'm a restaurant, somebody who likes food, right? But it depends. So let's jump to phase 2, which is the conversion engine. So this brings us to phase 2, building a conversion engine and then building the vault. So something that we can talk about in, let's just jump to the next slide, which is Wix Harmony AI. So this is kind of just like a small little thing here. This goes into, and I wrote on the top of this slide here, low budget if your site's outdated. This is for a perfect client would be somebody who maybe has been in business for 5-10 years and just doesn't have that big marketing budget. Their money goes elsewhere, and I understand that. But look, your website's outdated. You're not really anywhere on the internet, and maybe you're young. You're like, hey, I still plan on doing this for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Like, I should probably, you know, keep updating. So this is where AI gets super, super interesting. So we don't just build brochures, right? We can help you build a vault. This is using next generation technology. So it's called Wix AI, or Wix Harmony is another name for it. It basically allows us to build sites within minutes, and they look really good. The other part of this is that it allows you now to update all of the back end things that we call SEO, search engine optimization. Being able to be found on the internet is extremely important. And if you haven't updated these things in some time, well, you might be, you know, left behind. So it allows us to build a high velocity, basically meaning the momentum you gain from your ads translates instantly from your web presence. So people are going to land on the website. That will give them what they're looking for. But we're not just going to stop there, right? We need to go in a little bit more and make sure that it's mobile optimized, it works fast, and all the buttons and things like that. What do we got? All right, just making sure nobody is bothering me that wants to be on this call with us. So it's really important. Mobile is probably, I think they say 80% of people on the internet are gonna, you know, check you out on mobile. So make sure that your site is 100% mobile optimized. Extremely, extremely important. So the website side of things, I can't stress this enough. Again, it's a little like contradicting in a sense, depending on how you're hearing me talk about this, because it's super important to have a nice, beautiful website. Don't get me wrong, but we can't just stop there at the one brochure, right? It needs to be way beyond this. So let's actually jump to the next slide, because this is going to go into 100% SEO health, right? A beautiful vault is completely useless if nobody can find the door, right? Or I also said, somebody said this to me the other day. What was it exactly? It was like, what's a billboard if it's just in the middle of a woods and nobody can find it, right? Like, how good is a billboard? And like, totally understandable, right? So we aim to have 100% SEO on the health target for every single build or anybody that we work with, right? And a lot of times these agencies that we come across, they kind of just stop on the website SEO, and then they're just like, all right, I'm not doing anything beyond just the website. And they forget that social media is such a powerful SEO tool, right? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. YouTube, I can't tell you, is probably one of the best ones, right? So if they search you though on Google, we want to make sure that you come up right away, right? Especially if it's your product or your service, and especially if it's a local search, right? If they're looking for somebody within your area that is local, they're looking for that service and somebody is local to them, you need to be showing up. But we can also guarantee this in a couple other ways, making sure, one, again, the website is 100% SEO friendly, but also making sure that you're on multiple platforms, so diversifying yourself. This is what we'll call like the technical blueprint, right? It guarantees that Google will view you as an undeniable local leader. The second level of this is artificial intelligence. I don't know how many people are talking about this. It was like, some people were going crazy about it, I feel like, from like November to January. And then I feel like in the past 2 to 3 months, it's been pretty quiet, the AI chat and everything. I feel like people are just like overwhelmed by the whole thing. But realistically, all of this is going to go into the importance of AI, right? Being able to have the AI like Google Gemini or ChatGPT, it's crawling the internet constantly. It's looking for what's the next best thing to give to somebody that is relevant to their search. Right? So if you're looking for another pair of sneakers, if you're looking for a restaurant, if you're looking for, in this case, like Sabrina, who's on the call, companion care, right? If you're looking for these things and somebody is, going to ChatGPT or Google Gemini, what is it going to tell them, right? And we can dictate that by creating content that speaks directly to Google Gemini or ChatGPT, right? And the way to do that is create videos that speak towards pain points, and you can use the AI to help you curate those videos. Ask it, hey, what are the things that people are searching for? What kinds of videos should I be creating that would help me increase my searches when somebody is looking for my product or service? It'll tell you the answers. So let's jump into slide 11 here, which is the dominance loop. So, all right, so this is basically, in a sense, I'll kind of just jump through it on here. So number one is the spark, right? We spoke about this a little bit earlier, which is being found on like premium placements, Hulu, Roku, massive local awareness, friend recommendations, whatever it is, right? Somebody is like, hey, I need product or service. You should hear this guy. You should talk about this guy. Is there music playing right now? Oh, I was like, am I going crazy? All right, that's cool. That's fine. It's fine. Music is always fun in the background. I was like, am I going nuts? All right. So the spark, again, really important. This is where everything kind of happens. You can do this a variety of different ways. And if you need help in this area, obviously I'm here to help you out, but you can also watch the last video that we did. And I go much more in depth about this, kind of how to put yourself out there a little bit more. But advertising is a great way to do it. And if you don't have the money for ads, then just start joining networking groups or going to different places. I have clients that meet clients through tennis, organizations or golf clubs, or there's somebody I work with that does nonprofits with dogs. Basically, they help people rescue dogs, and he gets a ton of business through there, right? So it doesn't need to necessarily be through Hulu or Roku or any of these things like Facebook or Instagram. It doesn't need to be that way for the spark to happen. The spark just needs to happen by you putting yourself out there in some way, and that can be done on a multitude of different ways, right? So, all right, number two is the lookup, though. So prospects enter this phase, the verification phase, as we call it. They search Google or they search social media, right? They're going to look you up. If this was 30, 40 years ago, you'd be going in like the phone book or something like that, right? You'd be like, where can I look somebody up that does what I'm looking for? How do I get their contact? Someone told me to call AAA Roofing, and then I found his contact info in the in the phone book, and now I'm going to call him and see if they seem cool, and then I'm going to hire them. That's the old way. Now we have Google, we have social media, and we have this verification phase where people are going to go through it. Now, some people are going to be a lot more specific. They're going to spend more time on this. Other people are going to be real quick. Some people don't even need to do this. They can just kind of jump right to the end, right? But now let's jump to the vault, right? So a Wix Harmony AI website, 100% SEO, capture traffic, and lead capture forms, pixels, etc. Right? So the vault is basically where we want to try and capture everybody, right? We call it a vault because we want to store all of this. We want to make sure that we have all of this information. Advertising is a great way to collect this data and then try and hit people back on the internet, right? So we call that retargeting. This is great, right? So let's say you have some money and you're like, hey, I want to, run some ads. What you can do is you can set up retargeting ads. So when you're doing this spark, right, people are finding you through some sort of way, Hulu ads or massive local awareness. They land on your website. And now when they're on your website, you can collect their information. Let's say they fill out a form. Now you have their info. There's your lead, right? Or let's say they don't fill out a form, but we can still collect what we would call their IP address, and I can follow them around on the internet. I can do retargeting ads. I can hit them on Facebook. I can hit them on Instagram. I can follow them around on TikTok. And I can basically say to them, hey, I know you were just looking at my product or my service. Check it out. Here, we're gonna bring it right to you. And I'm gonna follow you around a little bit on the internet. It's a great way to do this, but we want to basically try and collect that information so we can, have the lead and have the opportunity to sell. The last is the high authority platform. So the close, right? Create fans or retarget on social media. So again, this is kind of similar to like what comes after the vault, right? We're going to collect their information and then boom, we want to, retarget them. We want to make sure that they're contacting us in some way, or we already have their info and we're going to contact them. Creating fans though, I think is something that is completely underrated, like having a fan base. Now, you might say like, oh, I have a business. Why would I have a fan base? Well, when you meet people and you go out and you go to events, people tend to like you, and you can tell them, hey, you should follow me on social media. We can be friends. You can be a fan of mine, right? And it's a great way to get people to see what you're doing constantly. Keep them front of mind, right? Super important. And then at the end of the day, every time you post, they might see you. And then when they need that product or that service, boom, there you are, right? So these are super, super important. From 1 to 4 here, the Spark, the Lookup, the Vault. We want to make sure that from every step in this process, like I was saying earlier, it's seamless, right? So your high authority platform turns visitors into a signed retainer or whatever it is. Maybe they just spend $20 for your product, you know? But this is great. Something to study a little bit, you know, think about your product, your service. How do people kind of go through this dominance loop? But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it wasn't too much today. We got just this last slide here, which just kind of goes into stop losing clients if you've already paid to acquire. So, you know, if you're paying for these things, if you're going to the events, if you're doing all the things and you feel like it's not working, well, maybe it's time to take a step back and try and, you know, evaluate, hey, what's going on here, right? You know, stop pouring your money into a leaky bucket, as we were saying before. And you want to build that verification vault, right? If your website's not closing deals for you, especially while you sleep, right? I don't know if that's ever happened where you get like a lead that comes through in the middle of the night, but you know, your website should be doing those things for you. But we can definitely help you out if that's something that you're struggling with, right? You can reach out to me or my team. Mike is somebody you could talk to as well. We also have a couple ladies in the office that are more than willing to answer any questions for you guys. Well, let's get your digital storefront matching the prestige of your brand, right? I think it's so important that you make sure that you look like Nike and McDonald's without spending the $1 billion, right? So thank you all so much for coming in today. I know we had a little bit of a lighter crowd, but we're live on YouTube, so I'm excited to see what we had going on there. And if anyone has any questions, I'll leave like just a minute here. Otherwise, we can kind of just wrap it up.
Well, Mike, can we say anything? Tom, can we say anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, for people on this video, my name is Gary Carpenter, and my company works extensively with TLo Productions. And I can tell you everything that Tom has talked about has resulted in the growth of my company as well as my clients. And I totally believe in getting in front of people on a regular basis. And Tom knows I'm a very visual person. When I'm out there and people ask me about what I use for my social marketing and put it out, I throw my endorsement to this guy right here.
Well, thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
lovely ladies who help me out tremendously in the world of nonprofits. They make me look good. Nicole is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And Mike makes sure I look good on the videos.
Yeah. That's it. It's all about. It's important. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate the kind words and the testimonial there.
Yep.
Definitely great. Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you both coming on here. If you need anything, you know I'm always here for you.
Yep.
But great. We'll see you. We're gonna do this again next month.
Actually, I do have questions.
Yeah.
The SEOs on Wix. How do I find out which SEOs they tolerate or they accept or they integrate with?
So with Wix, what's really cool about Wix is they have a like SEO checklist. So everything, everything for SEO on Wix it's basically you have to go through this list. There's, I think, I'm gonna make up the number, but probably about 87 items or something like that on the checklist. Like there's a pretty good amount of things to do on there. And you change, different titles and descriptions, and you make sure every picture has like a description behind it. There's a lot that goes into the back. It's really just a computer is going to go through, like Google is going to go through and read everything on your website. And that's, what's important about SEO through Wix is that it needs to make sure that all the information there is relevant in a sense. It has everything, all the right information.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, you're in good shape because you have Wix. A lot of times we've seen people that'll have like custom websites, and that could be a problem, is where they might miss that entirely. Or if someone tried building the site themselves, maybe they just completely miss doing that,
Gotcha. Okay.
But you're good. We got you
Thank
covered.
you. Thank you, guys. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You have a great day, guys.
Take care.
All right. You could end the